I'm involved in Extinction Rebellion because climate change and general ecological destruction is the greatest challenge that we face. It's existential. We have some time to sort it out, but not much, and it's an emergency.
Are you aware of veganism and the impacts it can have on the environment? So the way we can use veganism to reduce our impact on the environment?
The moral issue of eating animals aside, there can actually be circumstances in which well-raised meat can be part of a system that is actually ecologically friendly. Obviously, in our current system of factory farming, meat is appalling for the environment. Yeah, but so also is soy.
Yeah, that's very true. I did see a stat that the majority of soy is fed to animals that we consume, so that there is that.
And in the current system as it is at the moment, people should switch to vegan or at least vegetarian, largely because factory farm meat is so environmentally appalling. I can imagine a system in which an animal is raised well and is killed with respect and a certain sense of sacredness. For instance, actually I went to a festival a couple of years ago where there was deer that were shot on the land they came from. Free roaming deer shot on the land, butchered there and then done over a fire. And there's something actually quite sacred about that in a weird way, like eating those animals that are from that land.
Do you think from the animal's perspective it would matter that we see it as sacred though? Do you think for them they're a victim regardless?
The idea that if you're vegan you're somehow morally superior because you're relying on monocrop grain is bollocks.
I suppose the majority of monocrops do go to feeding the animals that we eat in the West.
I'm not talking about the current system. The current system, the current system is complete bullshit, complete bollocks. The idea of feeding any kind of food that humans could eat to animals is obscene. Are you anti-abortion?
I believe there comes a point where it would be immoral. I don't know.
You should do that because you're basically using the same arguments as an anti-abortion activist, which, as presumably quite a progressive activist, you may want to think about the same arguments that you're using. I'm actually a campaigner for nature rights, so the idea that trees and rivers should have rights, legal rights.
Trees?
Yep. How do you know trees aren't sentient?
Because they haven't got a brain, they haven't got a central nervous system.
No, there's actually research that suggests they do actually feel and understand. All living things are actually in their own way sacred, and that we should actually, I'm actually more campaigning for trees to have rights than animals because other people are on the animals thing, and you're so in favour of animal rights that you come to do interviews about it, but you haven't even considered the idea of trees having rights.
Okay. So let's say animals are sentient beings. Plants are sentient beings. They want to live. Because we're feeding so many animals with plants, you'd actually reduce the amount of plant casualties by being vegan in this current climate.
So say that again?
So if you wanted to save plant lives, if you were to go vegan, you'd be causing less harm to plants because we're feeding so many plants to animals.
Yeah, yes, I told you, I don't support the current system.
No, but in today's world, if you were to go vegan, you'd be causing less harm to plants.
I've told you that's true.
So why don't you?
Because I told you it's quite hard for me to do so because I struggle to cook vegan and I was losing a lot of weight and I need to eat better.
You can choose not to exploit animals for your whole life.
You can choose not to exploit trees.
Do you use trees?
Sorry?
Yeah. So why are you telling me not to use trees if you won't stop using them yourself?
Sorry? Because I'm saying you don't even consider the idea that trees.
No, but that's because they haven't got a central nervous system or a brain. You mentioned killing an animal sacredly. What would that look like? Exactly. What would be a practical way to sacredly kill an animal?
I never actually killed an animal myself, but give an example of a tree. It's I still use tree products, but I like to spend the moment, just touch it and just actually set an intention for why I'm taking it and to thank it.
Okay.
And then do it.
How would you sacredly kill an animal? Would you use a knife across the throat?
I think it's not so much the process of actually killing. Obviously, the best thing to do it humanely is just quickly as possible without them knowing. It's all about the process by which you do it, and to properly give thanks for that thing.
Do you think it makes a difference to the animal whether we're thankful or not? Do you think it matters to them when they're being killed unnecessarily?
Again, this is a bit of a difficult question to answer, isn't it? Instead of saying you can never do this and you're a bad person if you do, it's maybe just have a bit more intention.
I'm not calling you a bad person. I've never called anyone a bad person for consuming animal products, because I was consuming animal products for most of my life.
You also can't name the difference between a fetus you can kill and a fetus you can't.
Sentence.
How's that even measured in a fetus?
Well, they do measure it in fetuses. They can. There's scientific ways they can see a fetus flinching to certain stimuli. But anyway, we've always been going a while. My last question would be to you: if you could live a life where you're doing your best, either not to harm humans, not to harm animals, or not to harm either, which would be more in line with your own morals?
So say that again.
So there's three options. You're already doing your best not to harm humans. You don't exploit humans for any reason purposefully.
No, bollocks. You exploit humans all the time. Think of the fucking humans you exploited to get the clothes you're wearing. Like, have you thought through all the humans that are exploited to do every single aspect of your life? How dare you even say that you're somehow morally right?
No, I'm not. I wasn't talking about myself.
No, I'm talking about you. How many humans have you exploited all the time for every little bit of things you do, for all your vegan food? Where do you think your vegan food comes from? So, Mr. I'm so high and mighty, I exploit.
I'm not saying I'm high. I'm not saying I'm high and mighty.
You are. You're saying I'm so good. I don't.
When have I said that?
Things.
When have I said that?
I don't knowingly exploit things. Yes, you do every fucking day. Yeah. I'm just not giving in with the zealous veganism.
So
he's actually not better than other people, even though he seems to say that he is.
When have I ever said I'm better than other people?
How many species are going extinct every day because of your coconut milk? Just so easy.
Animal agriculture.
Is this performative virtue signalling? I'm better than you.
No, I've never
bullshit.
said I'm better than anybody.
Yes, you are.
No, I haven't. You're just extremely defensive.
I'm literally trained in my job to argue with people, and so I actually was able to bat your slightly simplistic, childish, and often unthought through questions back to you, as you've seen, and actually throw it straight back onto you.